own special place. So, I mean, because that was one of the biggest problems I had with Garrow's book, or I have with Garrow's book, is that as comprehensive as it is, he goes, I mean, it feels like he goes out of his way to avoid all of the left-leaning and black community, in particular, criticism of Barack Obama. And I will say we have a lot of it warehoused at iMixWhatiLike.org, including all the great Harlem debates from CMOTAP, and we have the debate we have with Amiri Baraka, and we have an interview with Derek Bell, the late Derek Bell, before he passed, where he tells everybody, Obama's not quite the guy you think he is, but, you know, I'm not going to get too much into it. Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. To prove your point in this, Jared, Tavis Smiley's criticism of Barack Obama is not in this book.
Yeah, that's deep. Now, that's pretty deep, because that Tavis is pretty mainstream as it goes. But, Paul Street, I want you to respond to that, but I wanted to have you respond to all of that, or any of that you like, in the context of asking you, and then, Todd, I'm going to come back and ask you the same thing. Paul, you mentioned this in your piece, and I wanted to see if we can, if I can, I think this question will get done what I wanted to have done. What does the attempted payoff of Reverend Wright signify for you in terms of who Obama is or was as a politician or is as a political figure, and this sort of relationship to what we're all saying here about this relationship, both in real and in fiction, to Derek Bell and to the so-called, and to the left itself. But you talk about it? What does the attempted payoff of Reverend Wright say about that? And if you would remind our audience of what that was.
Well, you know, Obama. I think that Todd Stephen Burroughs was absolutely right. There is this. Garrow does a very good job of showing how Obama quite strategically and intelligently crafts a black identity out for political purposes, out of a actual biography that he has that really isn't all that black American, and it's not just about Derek Bell. Obama creates a fake image that none of his former adolescent cohorts can remember in Honolulu at the Punahou Academy, of this sort of thug-like, super alienated black existence that he supposedly had there. And it turns out he didn't really have that existence at all. He creates an image of himself as being racially tortured and simultaneously a leading anti-apartheid activist at Occidental College. And then, against South African racist apartheid. And so it extends that to Colombia too. And people from the time say, no, he wasn't particularly involved in the anti-apartheid struggle here. There's no doubt about it that Sheila Jagger's got to go, because to fulfill his political destiny of rising up in the electoral system, he's decided he's got to have a black wife, and she's got to go because of there. So there is this careful construction of a racial identity. The Hawaii experience, the Indonesia experience growing up, was really quite atypical and not particularly black American. He had to sort of create that. Now he becomes electable in part because he's black, actually, ironically enough, but black, but not like Jesse. He's a certain kind of black American. I had fascinating discussions with white upper middle class professionals in a campus town, Iowa City, in 2007 and 2008. And they were so proud of themselves, right? They were ready to vote for a black guy. This was a real good cause for them to be able to pat themselves on their back. But not any black candidate. Barack Obama was a guess who's coming to dinner presidential.
He's the Get Out candidate. That's why he was so affectionately spoken of in Get Out.
The relationship with Reverend Wright, which had been calculated in part to create the acceptance in black middle-class Chicago and to be part of the black South Side and fulfill that destiny, became problematic in the general, in the primaries. Hillary Clinton was exploiting it because the pulpit master was quite left, in a lot of stuff he said about U.S. foreign policy, and he said about U.S. domestic policy, and he said about racism in the country. So the payoff of the attempted payoff, because Wright refuses it, of Wright to say to him in March of 2008, when Hillary Clinton is crucifying Obama with Reverend Wright, say, just please stop talking, you know, and it's very sophisticated. It wasn't just crude, you know, here's some money. No, he says he goes and asks them politely, please stop talking. He gets refused, and then a couple of days later, Reverend Wright gets an email from one of Obama's black bourgeois friends in Chicago offering him $150,000. Very slick, right? But very crass, and hell of a story, isn't it? How's that for progressive hope and change?
And you can't be the first black president and have a white mother and a half-white girlfriend. And so it was clear that Obama needed to, as I think the Garrow book makes clear, blacken himself up, both in terms of his narrative history or biographical history, but also in terms of his church and his wife, so that he could be seen. Because remember, there was that George Washington University study that showed that black women only voted for Obama because of the particular blackness of his wife, and the particular complexion of his wife, not Obama so much himself. He needed that added bonus.